Whoa, this is the Yewllusion reporting from somewhere on Spaceship Earth. I was just watching that documentary called The Wild Wild Country on Netflix about the Bhagwan Sheesh Rajneesh and the Rajneeshis when they set up their commune out in the middle of Oregon next to a town called Antelope, and they build their own city and they try to take over the political system of Wasco County, and they arm themselves and get crazy, and it all just falls apart. So it struck me as you know, it's like 30 some years ago. This happened in the early 80s out in Oregon. Before Oregon was even on the radar, man. And I think what struck me about it was a couple of things. I think it was really like these people could have pulled it off. I think the Rajneeshis could have pulled it off. And they're, you know, your basic, some guru from India. They flock to him. The dude knows it's all a dream, explains that it's all a dream, and you can do anything you want. Follow me. And let's get crazy and have a giant orgy, and we'll dance a bunch. And everything will be fine. All right, like whatever. If you want to, whatever. So they go out, they buy all this land out in the middle of Oregon, but they just can't not be obnoxious. I think the underlying thing is they all show up out in the middle of the boondocks, Oregon, where people want to be left alone. That's why they go to where they go in Oregon, is to be left alone so they can build their little city and do their weird thing and get freaky. So they move out in the middle of nowhere, Oregon, and there's like this little teeny town with like 40 people and a bunch of ranchers in the outlying area. So they move out there to be left alone, but they have to be so in your face about their freedom that people are like, you're infringing upon my freedom. And I think we're seeing this nowadays too, is part of, I think, freedom is not needing to inflict your freedom on other people, right? You have the freedom to do what you pretty much want in the United States of America. You can sleep with who you want. You can wear what you want. You can pretty much do what you want here. Do what you want. But there's this thing where people think that because they're free to do what they want, they have to make you partake in it by witnessing it, right? It's like the whole social justice warrior and the whole LGBTQRXYZWXYZ inclusiveness. Like, they have to be in your face with it. They just can't keep it to their living rooms and their houses and their little compounds and do whatever they need to do. They have to do it at the coffee shop too, or the supermarket, or in the middle of the town square, right? And whatever, I guess you got the freedom to do it, but what people don't understand is the greatest freedom is not to be infringed upon. Meaning that if you want to listen to your punk rock, you can turn it up loud. I mean, there's sound ordinances and stuff, but you can turn it up loud. But like, I don't want to listen to your punk rock, and I love punk rock, but I don't want you to force me to listen to punk rock when I want to listen to Britney Spears. You get what I'm saying? And it's the same thing. Like, I don't care if you want to make out, if two dudes make out. It doesn't bother me, except if you're doing it in front of me. Right? You have the freedom to do what you want, but why do you have to do it in front of me in a public place? Because I'm not making out with my wife in public. You get where I'm going here. So these people are move out in the middle of nowhere, but they have to, because they're all free to have sex with each other and be freaky. They have to do it out in the middle of conservative rural Oregon, having zero respect for the people that want to be left alone, right? These people live out in rural Oregon. They're a bunch of blue hairs and farmers and cowboys and stuff. They don't really care what you do until you make them have to watch what you do, because they don't really want to have you telling them what they can do, but they're kind of keeping it to themselves too, right? So anyway, these people move out there, and they could, if they had just been like slow rolled their scene. I mean, they're all wearing red, right? They're all wearing like red, maroon, and purple outfits. Like, imagine you live in a town out in the rural Oregon, and there's, you know, a couple hundred of you, and then like 10,000 people show up in red. All right, well, whatever. But they're also like getting naked and boning down and being freaks. So I'm watching this, and so that the locals don't like it, but these people are like, they got some money, so they take over the town and they beat them politically. They take over the city council. They make their own police force. It's legitimate because they're a municipality. They use the law. Bravo. Bravo to these people. Except they just couldn't stop pushing. And eventually they just caused too much commotion, and the hammer came down, and then they blew it, dude. They brought homeless people into their commune. They brought homeless people to try to like change the vote and do all this weird stuff. And then they got mixed up with the Hollywood crowd down here, and their guru was getting high or something. So you watch this, right? And it's the same old story. You can be as nice and big-hearted and whatever as you want. But the minute you invite crazy people into your living room and they start throwing your dishes against the wall, it's not the crazy person's fault. It's your fault. I mean, if we look at like the whole thing, it's you don't want homeless people like exponentially growing as a group in your neighborhood. Stop handing stuff out. And you'll say I'm like heartless and all that stuff. No, I'm not. But what I'm getting at is this commune has it going on, right? They're all hanging out, they're growing their food, like they're doing something cool. Like there's a part of me that's like, oh, right on, good for you guys. I mean, don't get that this guy by definition is Satan, and he's tapped into the it's where my next part of this video is going. The Bhagwan, the leader, the guru is Satan. I mean, because that's the trick, right? So, but anyway, they're out there, they're creating their own little Eden, right? Satan can only mimic. And, they're growing their own vegetables. They're like, good for them. They're living the dream. They're having their orgies. They're getting freaky. And they're minding their own business until they're not, right? Until they're not. And it's just funny because in this thing, this documentary, you realize they bring in all these homeless people, and then their homeless people are like, we're just here to get down in your orgy. Turn over your women. And they're like, nah, you're out of here, right? So spiritually speaking, they weren't as like up to date and I think that's for everybody, like human beings. Like it's a big giant leap to be that spiritually sound. That's why Jesus was like one of the only people to pull it off, and he paid the price, right? So I'm watching this again, and I'm thinking about how people just can't can't keep a good thing undercover. It's just like the world of surfing, you know? People just couldn't not take photos and tell everybody. They had to go find magic surf spots and be like, well, it's a great place to build a resort. And now it's all crowded everywhere and whatever. And I'm watching the thing, and it fails. This whole commune fails because people get greedy, and then they start getting guns, and they militarize themselves. And there's a part of me that's like, bravo. Like, heck yeah, man, America, dude. Use the law, Second Amendment, First Amendment, do your thing. But again, they go offensively on the violence thing. They try to poison people and assassinate some people and missing the whole point. And then you realize, like, underneath the dance is this spiritual leader is a fraud, because they all are. And it all melts down, and I'm watching the thing, and I'm thinking about those people in the 80s, you know, tens of thousands of them were all mixed up, and you know, you can watch the old footage, and I'm like, wow, I must like be gnarly just to be caught up in this thing, and it just turned out to be like smoke and mirrors. And I was thinking about what we do on this channel, and just how the one thing I'm always trying to get you is the answer lies inside yourself. You can't follow another man or a woman. You can seek other people's advice. You can look at other people and see what they're doing. But the minute you turn your spiritual authority over to another human being, you've hijacked yourself. And it's not the person you've turned it over to. It's you. The minute you take the trinkets, which is, you know, it's all easy and a bunch of free love, and we're gonna bone down and get freaky, and you know, it's all smiles, and everything's just yeah. Oh, I don't have to do any of the hard stuff in life, dude. I think you're missing life, right? Because I think, you know, there's been certain moments where people are like, you should start a cult. Like, we should go build a compound out there. The high frequency tribe all should get together and build our own city. And I've always just steered clear. I'm just a guy with an iPhone, just talking about my own experience. But it's always fascinated me how people are really desperate to have somebody be the conduit between them and God. You go talk to God for me. You know? And if you remove that one concept, right? If you just realize that you need to speak directly to God, that God's right here, and God will listen to you, and you need to be, you know, it's all they talk about it. You don't have to do anything to become enlightened. You just have to realize you are enlightened. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, the lesson is just the nowness of it all. Like, oh, right now, and you just turn to God and be like, God, like, swing, and it all changes. And so I'm watching it, and I'm thinking about, you know, why I'm not into religion. I don't do religion. I'm a full Jesus Christ is my personal savior, and I love listening to my pastor Paul McGuire, and I love checking it out and talking to people about God and gathering new information and reading my Bible. And someone was asking me the other day about, like, do you join a church? And I'm like, no. And it's this, and I'm watching this thing about this Bhagwan and the guru thing, and I'm like, I just don't want to get, my relationship with God I don't need another person to go talk to God for me. I'm willing to commune with a group of people and like that part of church makes sense to me. But this whole thing of joining a group of people to have someone be a conduit between me and God, I'm not. No, I don't. That's this. That's the. That's where everybody's been tricked. That's how people get tricked. Is like, oh, I'm gonna go live on a commune, or I'm gonna go follow these people off the cliff, or I'm gonna go. What do I do? What do I do? Someone tell me what to do. All the answers are right here inside of your heart, and and God's just ready there to like illuminate the truth and the path. And it's just like this, watching this documentary it made me sad and it made me hopeful, and it's just one of those weird things too of like when people have like kind of like shot their load, so to speak, in life. You know, these people all did their thing. They're all older now, and you're watching this movie about it, and you're just like, that was it. That was their big, like, hurrah, was they turned themselves over to some character out in the desert of Oregon. And that dude burned it all down because at the end of the day, he was just another man pretending to be more than a man. When like I think a true spiritual advisor would never get between you and God. No, I just couldn't imagine ever being like, here, let me go talk to God for you. Here, the God talked to me and he told me to tell you that you all need to follow me to him. Like, no, it's like you need to work on your own relationship with God. That's always been my I think my number one thing that's kept me safe my entire life is anytime anyone starts getting between me and God, I'm like, nah, I'm not rolling with you. And since I'm not chasing trinkets, they don't have that trick either. Like, I don't know, I was just thinking about how people are so easily hoodwinked for some easy sex and laid back attitude and just, you know, it just trips me out. I don't know, it's a good documentary. I would definitely watch it. There's a lot of it's about America, man. You can see where the American dream is right there, but part of it is freedom is not being obnoxious. I think there's a certain aspect, and I've participated in it, where people think that being free is being, look at me, I'm free. When being free is very much a quiet thing, a quiet, introspective space that you occupy with God, where you know that there are no rules. So you don't need to go infringe upon anybody else who doesn't understand that there are no rules. Because maybe they do understand there are no rules. And that's why they're being all mellow and quiet too, is they are fully in contact with God, being like, I don't need to wear a feather in my cap. I don't need to cover myself or do with glitter or do anything special. I just have to be present enough in my life to be present in my life. Anyway, that's what I was thinking about this evening. I hope you're well. If you like this channel, there's links down below. There's t-shirts, art, whatever. Feel free to make a donation. You know, right? It's either that or go join a commune somewhere and turn over your bank accounts, man. Anyway, it's the Yewllusion. Just sitting here thinking about stuff. I'm out.